Is this thing on?
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay.
Idiot. Well, hello, everybody. How am I coming across today? Are you enjoying the subtle tones of Doug's voice and his new microphone? Yes. You want to start over? We can start over.
No, just for that, I'm making you keep it.
Oh,
Everybody, welcome to episode 6 of Coffee and Carving. I'm Alec Lacasse, and this is Doug Linker.
yes, I am. How are you doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm just hanging out. You know, if I look like I'm dirty, it's because I haven't showered in 3 days, but otherwise good.
Well, again, good thing I'm not there with you. The beauty of Zoom.
For
Can't
real.
smell a thing.
Yeah, for real. It's a hot day too. So how about you? What have you been up to?
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
Of course, I think I mentioned it last time that I had a trip fall through due to ridiculous weather.
Right.
So I actually had 2 days off, and I filled it with carving. Lots of carving. So yeah, it was fun. I got into some bark and some basswood, but mostly bark, and came up with a couple of fun little characters. So
Can you show us?
I can show you. It's not very good for audio. But
I'll describe it. I'll do
all
the
right.
best I can.
Do you recognize this man?
We have a cottonwood bark representation of Albert Einstein. No.
It's Frankenstein.
That's awesome.
It was a real fun carve because this is terrible for audio, so I apologize, but his hair was to be black, right? Frankenstein's hair should be black.
Right.
But I could not paint that grain that's in that hair. It just looks like hair, the grain. It was so perfect. So then I just matched it with the little bolts, natural. So that was a fun one.
It looks awesome. I love the way you get those subtle color tones, but the grain comes through. That's why I don't like painting, is because I feel like whenever I do it, it's all or nothing. I have to get that opacity thing, right?
Well, it's just adding a lot of water.
Really?
In fact, I painted.
Oh, you use water-based?
I use water-based, but I water down the water-based.
Right.
So probably like 8 drops to 1 drop of paint.
Wow.
Yeah, so you should be able to paint the newspaper and clearly see it through. But I actually started, this guy here, I started with yellow first, and then the green is just shades on the high points. So he's actually more yellow, but you can't really see it because the yellow kind of got eaten up with the color of the bark. So yeah,
that's a cool idea.
And then I did this guy. And I was going for a Ron Swanson, but perhaps if I had painted give him flesh tone, it would be a more bolder Ron Swanson. But as it is, he's a little bit dark skinned for Ron Swanson. But again, I couldn't cover up the beautiful grain in the cottonwood bark. So yeah,
I saw him on Instagram. Knew who he was right away.
Which, by the way, is to hear that.
It's kind of a lame compliment, though. Whenever I do a portrait of somebody and they're like, "Well, I knew who it was right away," I'm always like, "Thanks," you know.
Well, to be honest, that's probably the first thing that I've actually tried to copy somebody, other than myself. Yeah. I mean, I can't carve anything with a beard without someone say, "Oh, self-portrait," right? Just because they have a beard. So I mean, it's a pretty not a hard miss for that, but right. Yeah. So what have you been up to? Oh, I'll keep going.
Yeah, tell me more.
So we also went did our antiquing. One of our favorite things to do is hit the antique stores around. And I believe a couple episodes back, we talked about, I called them Quebec carvings. Remember? Like souvenir store Quebec carvings. Right. And I happened to pick up a couple. And you'll recognize the idea right away.
That's cool.
Right?
That is so cool.
So for those on audio, this guy's, I'd say he's a foot tall. He's got a little bucket, but it's also kind of cheap. It's speed carving. Every souvenir shop in Ontario has these Quebec carvings, or had at one time, and everybody has them in their house. This one here is a Turcotte, and this one over here is a more a set, same idea, just really
That's
quick carved. I believe they're all pine,
hmm,
if not, or they're heavy. Maybe they're birch.
huh.
Hard to tell. They're very clear. But
Yeah, it
those
might
are
be
the so.
birch.
So when I refer to the Quebec carvings, that's what I'm talking about. These are all over the place in all different shapes and sizes. So,
That's really
yeah.
neat. I really
Well,
enjoy those. What
I
do you
got
pay
one
for
more.
those?
Nothing.
Really?
$10. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome.
And then I got one from where was this from? This is from Norway, a little Viking.
Ooh,
But again, it must be the souvenir type carvings because they're not well done,
sure.
and it's stamped on the bottom, but it does
Uh-huh.
say hand carved. But I bought him just to recreate him, maybe for a video,
That's a
saying
great idea.
try to recreate him and maybe give him a little bit more detail.
Right.
But I thought that'd be a fun idea.
I love
But
him.
got some real nice flat planes.
Yeah.
But
Right.
yeah, you can tell it's a speed carve.
Speed car. Yeah.
They're not overly concerned, but that is just what true flat plane is, right?
Hmm.
It was never to be all details, so maybe it's perfect for flat plane.
Yeah. Well, that's really neat.
Yeah,
That's yeah.
and of course also hopefully you can tell a difference, but we joked in the beginning, I don't know if we removed it or not, but yeah, I'm using a microphone, so I went microphone shopping.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Thank you.
we're all set up. Hopefully there's a difference.
Oh yeah, I can already tell. It's much better. Significantly better.
Good.
So, I know, we always talk about you in this show, but for once, I want to say something. So,
You're up.
I'm just kidding, but I am currently watching a construction guy fix our road because we had a ditch over on the south side of my home on our little drive over to the main road, Rochester Road. A ditch, probably, I'm going to say 2.5 foot wide by 2.5 foot deep. And it's almost impassable. The UPS couldn't get through it. So, and it was like that for a couple of months. So people weren't getting their packages.
Is that because of all the rain?
I guess, yeah, it must be.
Oh,
Yeah. So that's what I really wanted to share with you, apparently. But no, but I have been really excited to do 2 more carvings for these. I'm doing the thing that I said was annoying. On the top of the conversation. I'm bragging about this cool project that I have, but that's not
perfect.
the point of. That's not the point of the story, though. So I've got this cool. I'm really excited about the commission, right? And for the bank, for those of you who don't have context, this NFL team that Doug and I didn't know existed. Now we know it existed. The Cincinnati Bengals are having some award ceremony, and they're using some carvings that I make for them as awards or something along those lines, right? And so they need them by the 29th, which from the day we're recording this, from today, that's 2 days away. So they were supposed to send me the sticks. I ordered sticks online 4 days ago. They were supposed to overnight them. They were supposed to get here 2 days ago, right? And that would have given me enough time, 4 total days to work on the canes, but they didn't come. And I have to leave tomorrow. I originally had to leave tomorrow. So now I am in a bind because the canes are still not here. And as soon as we get off, I have to carve 2, fully detailed, painted tigers with their mouths open, the mascot of the Bengals, and ship them. I'm going to drive them to Archbold, Ohio, where I'm giving a little demonstration and talk at Sauter Village. And someone's going to come out from the Bengals and meet me there at Archbold.
Oh, nice.
As I'm finishing them after the event. So
wow.
It's just chaotic. But the folks there at Sauter Village have been accommodating. So they push back all the sound checks until Wednesday. So now I have all of tomorrow to finish the canes. So we were able to record this, but we almost had to reschedule just for this silly last minute cane delivery that should have happened 2 days ago. So that's my big story. I'm more than anything, I'm venting, but I'm also bragging. So
Yeah, no, that's you didn't need to sleep anyway, young fella.
yeah, no shower. My bathroom is being renovated, so I stink up to high heaven.
Oh, that's right too.
And my friend right now is tearing it apart and putting a new tub in, and it's
Well,
been hell.
you have a lake within 100 meters of you, don't you?
You know what? That's not a terrible idea, for real.
No, go jump in the lake. You've been told that before, but you should.
You're so nice to me, Doug. Yeah. So, but I appreciated everyone empathizing with my complaining stories from last time. We're telling people about the one friend that always brags about what they're doing. That's cool right off the top of your conversation. Even though I'm doing it now, I was very happy that folks commented and said, "Oh man, I have a friend like that." It brought up an interesting point though. Someone commented on Instagram saying that they listened through our episode 5 and heard about the pet peeve I have about people bragging on themselves. And he wondered if either of us, and this was an interesting segue, but he thinks maybe this sort of bragging stuff comes from anxiety or depression, but he's wondering if either of us struggle. He says, I'm not sure if you or Doug have ever struggled with anxiety or depression, but coming from someone who has, I think I'm guilty, blah, 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 of this habit. I thought an interesting topic you guys could tackle would be building confidence in your work and not relying on others for feedback to boost yourself. I look to the carving community for feedback and positive reinforcement all the time, but it does not give me the boost that I need. But I'd love to get your collective takes on the subject.
Ah,
So I'm curious
well,
what your thoughts are on that.
so it was anxiety for social media.
I don't know what he means. I think maybe he's just talking about general anxiety and depression and how folks that are that way, they have to try and ground themselves, and they do so by trying to get other people to be impressed and like them.
Mm-hmm. I don't know that I can really touch on the depression side of things, but anxiety. You know what? My greatest anxiety is having a calendar with events. With events, like even though it was canceled last week, that trip that I had on my calendar, it drove me crazy. I would rather have something spur of the moment or within 2 days than to look at something for weeks ahead, because all I want to do now is check that off the calendar. I don't know why. That's just a weird quirk, but I'm always anxious if I have something ahead of me that I have to be at, because I'm never late. I'm always on time or early, and it always just drives me crazy. And I'm never happy until I can wipe it off the calendar.
Right.
But as far as the social media, again, I have a different take on it too, because I don't get big-headed from compliments. I'm always looking more for what did they mean by that. instead of taking the compliments and enjoying them, I'm always like waiting for that one guy that's going to say, "You don't know nothing." Right. I always have a little bit of a negative, so it's hard for me to accept. And we talked about this before, because I'm in the crowd of real carvers, and I always feel like I have imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm getting over a little bit now, but coming up into this carving world, I always felt like I don't belong here.
Yeah.
And then everyone's
ridiculous.
And then somebody would tell me that every once in a while, just to make sure I didn't let it go too quick. So yeah, but I don't know otherwise. How about you?
Well, my brain goes a million miles an hour, and I'm not even always conscious of what I'm thinking about. And I don't realize that I've been anxious until I'm around someone who is not. And so I think maybe in that regard, I'm a little bit, I don't know, sensitive of the type of people who are around me. So with depression, I don't think I have it, but I feel like I've definitely struggled with it. There've definitely been times where I've been unproductive and unmotivated, and it's just due to straight depression or sadness, which I know are two different things. But sadness can lead to kind of a depressive state. But true depression, I think, is from what I've been told by Robert Sapolsky. He says in a address he gave to Stanford, he said that true depression is characterized by the inability to pull oneself up by their bootstraps. So by its very nature, it's a disease that does not allow you to get out of it. So it's unlike, say cancer or a terrible fatal disease whereby you can find some value, some good in that disease. Well, at least this brought me closer to my family in my final hours. At least this gave me a fresh lease on life, a new perspective as to how short life really can be. And I can do good with the rest of the remaining time. Depression is characterized by the inability to pull yourself out of it. So you can't see the forest through the trees. So it's actually a much more serious psychological disease than a lot of people give it credit for, according to Robert. And he's a doctor of neurology, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, over there. So he studies the brain, and pretty serious thing. So I would never go so far as to say I have depression because it's not clinical, but I've absolutely had even months of time where I was just completely unproductive and sad. So, but yeah, I think as far as social media goes, one negative comment sends me into walking around in circles in the shop going, man, what if they're right? Like, they're probably right. I probably am.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I just can't. I'm not capable of reading a negative comment and immediately taking it personally and immediately thinking, yep, that's it. I knew it. I knew it the whole time. So,
Well, it's true. And the truth of the matter is, if you have 12 people standing around, one of them's a jerk.
right.
Right. If you have a crowd of 12 people, one of them's a jerk. There's no doubt. Like, times that by 100, times it by 1,000 or thousands of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, just bring it on, get it over with. I'll take it, then I'll delete you. But
right.
give me your criticism. But yeah, no, I'm always looking through that lens.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll get all offended at something that someone says, and I'll show somebody, and they're, oh, they didn't mean it like that.
Hmm.
So I'm always looking for the negative instead of just being happy with the positive.
Oh yeah.
So.
Right. And somehow it works the opposite direction in social circumstances when I think, man, I'm so nice in this situation. I'm being so kind, being so extroverted and loving, affirming. And then I'll look back on that moment and maybe I said something like, oh, nice shirt, and I think that's the nicest thing in the whole world. In reality, I just complimented their shirt, and I won't get into details, but I've done this before in many friendships where it's just like, oh my gosh, I think that I have the self-awareness of something that doesn't have self-awareness. I don't know. So, but another question we got I thought was interesting was some of our hero carvers, who are like the people that we look up to. And so I wondered, for you, who are those folks?
Well, like I always put Gene Messer in first because he's the guy that got me carving. But after Gene, I think it was really Harley Refsol. He really helped me along, and he was a prolific author. I think he's got maybe 5 or 6 books on the flat plane carving style, and I've watched lots of videos. I think I ordered videos like DVDs to watch of his too, and I think he would be up there with my heroes. Now, again, I don't know everybody out there, and I know that we have different heroes because you're in the art world and I'm in the character world, but for sure he's up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You go ahead and do one if you want.
Oh, it's already my turn.
Well, I'll think of it more as you keep talking, but
all right. Yeah. Well, I would say the first was Ron. When I was first kind of perusing YouTube's and finding inspiration from this soap carving class I'd taken, I found Ron, who's this kind of grizzled Swedish man who lives in the mountains of Montana, and I just fell in love with his lifestyle, carving for the presidents and carving for the rich and famous, all from this little garage on the Kootenai River and the mountains, the original proposed site for Glacier National Park. So it's a gorgeous area, and I just wanted to be like him. So he was the first guy I kind of modeled my carving after.
Now, does Ron have a last name, or are we just gonna call him Ron?
Oh, did I not say Ron Adamson?
Adamson, yes.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I missed it.
I actually went and on your word, I went and checked him out too, and
really?
Yeah, he's fun.
Do you think so? Really?
He's got some videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I like him.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't just like him. I was like, I would watch him every day, and I would watch his videos while I was carving. I'd bring my laptop out there. Before I had the laptop, I'd bring the carvings inside, so I'd do the desktop, and then I'd screenshot, photos of his progress, and I'd take him in the barn, and that was what I did as soon as I got my work done in the morning. I would just try and be like Ron, but Adamson, and excuse me, he was definitely the one, and then from there, I started to like, Ian Norbury was always in there, but he always scared me because he's for those of you who don't know, Ian Norbury is a real talented figurative wood carver who makes these. He does a lot of nudes. So when I first was given his book by a friend of mine, I thought he was giving me a nudie, like a nudes magazine. So I hid it for my mom in the car on the ride home, and then as I opened it up when I got home, I realized, oh my gosh, these are wood carvings, and I don't have to throw these out, or else mom will find out. So he was big, and those are the first two. Did any come to mind while I'm talking?
Not so much. No. I really followed Gene and Harley Russell.
Yeah.
In the early days that would put him up in the hero stats. The rest of the guys I just kind of got to know. So yes, I've learned from everybody.
Right.
But it's a little different. You don't have them on the same pedestal because they didn't really influence you. They were already there and you joined them, kind of a thing. So yeah. Right. But let's go back to the Ron Adamson. People are always asking me to show how I have my bark carving station set up. Do you attribute your carving station to somebody else?
Oh yeah, totally. It's Ron. 100%. That's all Ron.
That's Ron.
Oh yeah. And I've been stealing from him for so long. I've forgotten that I'm stealing from him anymore. So I don't think I've credited him in years. But
well, I think you have. That's why I kind of knew that you did. But
when
I was watching his videos, I realized, that's how I do it kind of now too. I stole from you.
Yeah.
Only I changed it again, obviously.
Yeah.
With the but so I'm sit down and stand up now. As of the weekend, I reconfigured mine again. But the whole clamping idea and stuff is great. It's just great.
So for context, when you're bark carving, you're relief carving. So you're only carving, 3 sides, not the back side. So we're doing deep relief. So you're carving the full face, basically everything but the back end. And so if you mount the bark on an easel type situation, a 30 degree or so angle from the wall, you can clamp your carving to that fixture.
Well, I think 30 that's way heavy.
Too much. Yeah, maybe even like 15 or 20 is enough. Yeah.
12. Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it's probably 9. Closer to 13.
Yeah, it's very minimal. I'd say 10 would be even lots. Yeah,
that's probably true. That's probably true. I don't know. You're better with angles and such. You've actually built things, whereas I just try and then have my experienced friends help me finish it.
Well, 30 is awful close to 45, which is...
You're right. That's way too much of an angle.
Nowhere near what you're talking about.
Why am I saying 30? Oh, he's got a protractor. This is good. I needed this lesson.
Okay, time for your lesson.
It's been like 18 years since geometry.
Yeah, okay. So if we were to do it this way.
Yeah.
Of course, sorry, audio. I'm just showing I scored this teacher's chalkboard little what do you call it?
I just named it. Now I've forgotten. Oh my gosh.
It's a protractor?
Protractor. Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. That is what it is.
So that would be 10 degrees.
Yeah, that's what you want. Yeah,
Right.
you're right. Thanks for that.
So, but your original 30,
Ooh.
you could ride it.
Oh, I'm so glad you corrected me. All these guys, probably laughing at me now, but oh man. Yeah, I barely passed in maths in high school, and then I ended up having to go back and retake everything. So
Well, I won't tell you the height of my schooling because it went to 16.
Yeah. Well, it makes me feel a little better.
And that was it. I was always going to be a carpenter, and that's what we did in our day is went to work.
Which is actually probably helpful and would be a helpful thing for a lot of kids who are struggling through college only to realize they don't want to do any of the things that they're doing to begin with. So,
well, back in the day, it was a lot more apprenticeships, and you were I never apprenticed. I just worked. And became a carpenter. But you were encouraged to stop school at grade 10 to start an apprenticeship. If that was your plan, then grade 10 was all you needed. So you go to like you're 16 years old in school and then just go to work. So
right.
And to a certain extent, it's still not a bad idea.
Yeah.
So you were homeschooled. Were you done high school and like at 12 years old or?
Oh, I wasn't one of those. No, I wasn't. A lot of the homeschoolers were. I think my buddy, one of my friends, childhood friends, Philip, he was already on track to finish by the time he was, I think, 15 or something.
Yeah.
I was pretty normal. I think I graduated at 18. So.
Yeah, but I was always jealous. Those guys were all done school by 11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
No bus rides and no fluff. No recess and.
Oh yeah. Yeah. In the barn we go. Carving like Ron Adamson, trying at least. That's the number one goal. Number one goal is to carve like Ron.
Well, that's a good for a young kid. That's a great goal.
Oh, the other one was Ferris. Jeff Ferris. It looks like Ferris. Phares. Jeff Ferris. I came to know through some carvers at a club. They had his book, Carving Noses, Realistic Noses and Mouths, I think, is one of them. And you've heard of him?
Well, I ordered his book then.
Right.
Yeah, so I ordered his book, but I couldn't find much on YouTube about him.
He's not on. He's seldom been on.
He was. I think he might have been a guest at a chainsaw carver thing or something. But otherwise, I couldn't find much about him.
Oh yeah, that would have been through Abby Peterson.
Oh,
probably.
So yes, I did order the book. Simple. I forget the name of it, but I don't have it yet. But just the face structure for faces for dummies.
Right.
Basically, it looked pretty basic and simple.
Yep.
And that's what I need. So
yeah. Ferris is great. He's such a good realistic carver. Many people think he's the best, Native American bust carver in America, at least one of the best. I mean, he's always been up there. So when I first saw his stuff, I knew I was like, that's what I want to do. I want to carve like Native people, and so I started doing that. And then I kind of worked backwards. I realized, because I was just a sheltered homeschool kid, I didn't realize the appropriation aspect of it. And so then I started having these friends who were, in the culture, partly Native American, partly we have a lot of Ojibwe here. Of course, there's a lot of Ojibwe in this whole area, even up in your area. But then they started saying things like, well, who's this guy and where is he from? And I said, I don't know. He's just a guy I made up. And no, you can't do that. Figure out who they are, where they're from, do due diligence. And so I started that later in life, but it was definitely Ferris that got me into, to the extent that I am, which there's always more to learn, but the Native culture and Native artwork, just the patterns, the fabric patterns and the beautiful beadwork and the headdresses and, which are not just the typical headdress that you see white girls parading around at fairs with, but the ones that have like, feathers standing straight up around the rim of the cap and all kinds of fur and horns and fun stuff from these northern Native people who lived up here even too. So I don't know how I got on that tangent, but that's Ferris. He was a big inspiration.
We should maybe this isn't a good time to talk about it, but I wouldn't touch a Native American carving with a 10-foot pole right now.
Yeah.
just for the political correctness and the cultural appropriation that's just thrown around like crazy. And
Right.
I I don't know if it's a Canadian American thing, or do you have it very strong there?
Well, the political correctness thing. Yeah, I do joke with my friends that it seems that the people who are most angry about it are the folks who are not really, maybe they're 0.001 native, and then they're very, very proud of it. But most of the response I've gotten from people who are, maybe living in reservations, or living in, maybe they're like primarily Native American people, and they're still entrenched in their culture in a beautiful way. Those people have almost always been super affirming. I really love the work. I like that you're focusing on these people, and really nice. But yeah, you get these like young social vigilante people who
Yeah, social justice warriors.
yeah, man, those people get me. They get me because a lot of times it seems that, at least the ones that I know, I can't speak for all of them. I shouldn't speak for all of them, but they just seem like they spend most of their time doing that.
Yeah, looking for something to what's wrong. Yeah,
Right.
like you said, that when the natives actually looked at your and enjoy your work,
Yeah.
that should be enough.
Right.
But then you got white guys bashing you for
Yeah.
cultural appropriation. But it goes so far as to ring earrings, and like it's just got out of hand. You can't bead your hair certain ways, or
Right.
to dreadlocks and everything. It's like,
Sure.
man, we are the world. Let's share it. And
Yep.
just like carving, taking little bits from everybody, the whole world is taking little bits from everybody. Like,
Right. Yeah. And here, let me be the voice of the millennials too, because I do get, and a friend of mine, mostly white guy, I would say, but a little bit native. He shared with me at this point that for so long, actually, I was kind of doing my own research and talking to him about this. Native American people, have been used on advertisements to sell natural stuff. Like, it's so natural. He was a Native American person. Even he would use it. Tobacco, butter, Land of Lakes, whatever. And so the idea is, not only did we completely screw over an entire people group, but then we stole their image and we used it on our advertisements to convey the natural earthbound, or earth harvest, natural harvest type messaging, marketing messaging. And I get why people are so infuriated about those things. But when an artist, is doing due diligence and being respectful to those people, and hopefully learning about the person they're making, if they're painting or sculpting them, I don't see a problem with that. But I'm open to folks, being critical of that. And if folks want to comment and explain that in greater detail, I'm certainly willing to hear about it.
to Alec Lacasse at coffee and carving at gmail.com. Oh, the Coffee and Carving Show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Titled Alec only. Yeah.
I don't think that email exists, so don't try that. It's coffee and carving show at gmail.com. But yeah, I guess it's an interesting one. I mean, yeah, you're right. We've been pulling from cultures, all of the American culture is just comprised of a bunch of other different ones. I think where people get sensitive, and in some cases rightfully so, is when people they abuse a culture, and then they steal their imagery or their iconography or whatever.
Right.
And when you hurt people and then you steal stuff from them, it's bad. But when you just borrow stuff from them and you're nice to them, it's okay. So I guess when you're white, it's like it's hard not to be associated with those people that stole, and that's not right either necessarily. So,
well, I married one, so
did you?
She's a Métis, but yeah.
What's that?
Métis is a French and native. It's a half breed, really.
Okay, that's
French
cool.
and native, yeah, from the north.
Oh wow.
Yeah, hence her straight black hair.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. I never thought about it. I wouldn't have known, but now that you say it, I could see that.
Yep.
That's cool.
So yeah, her grandma was a native.
How cool.
Yeah.
What does she think about the whole thing?
They're very they're open. It's not she could have got a card, but she was the history of, well, I won't go too deep, but her grandmother, when they were filling out census cards, said at one point, she thought it would help her children to say she was not a native.
Wow.
And so then basically jump ahead 50 years, and the status is held by what she checked off back then.
Wow.
So there was no advantages to them. Not that they were looking for them, but I always said it'd be nice to be able to keep a couple extra fish.
Right.
But anyway, we better get out the.
But there's an example right there of, you know, the oppression that those people faced, you know, cultural oppression. So it's real. Yeah. It's real.
Oh no, it is real. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to carve like a totem pole too, and like I won't touch it.
Right, me either.
There's no way I'm touching that.
Those sacred objects. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Anywho.
Yeah.
So now that we've offended everyone.
Yeah. Well, we apologize for our ignorance if you're offended, but we're just talking. Right. This is the coffee portion of our chat. So.
And this time I have coffee, but I haven't been drinking it because I'd like to fall asleep. But I guess I'll take a sip. So
you were saying that you're off to your public speaking. Oh. Is this not where anxiety would feed in?
Oh, man, I could barely breathe this morning thinking about it. I hate it.
I can talk. I don't even think of it as, I have videos that, I mean, minimum would be like 10,000 people. If you put 10,000 people in front of me,
right,
I'd dig a hole and hide. Like if you put 15 people in front of me that I have to speak to, I'd probably hide. Like it's so different. I could not do it.
Right.
I'm so embarrassed. I'll just go up there and fumble my words and just ruin it. So I've avoided my whole life public speaking. I'm terrible. Hilarious. People ask me sometimes to come and do some little talk or something, like, oh, in person? No. I'll make you a video. I can do it right here and send it to you. Yeah.
I mean, think about the millions of people who have seen you and your videos, and you have no qualms about posting those videos, and you're comfortable, and you're the most comfortable person behind the camera I know, and you just don't like the public aspect of it, huh? I guess
no, it's strange, very strange, but it is who I am. I'm just a behind the scenes kind of guy.
I like that about you. But I, on the other hand, I'm the youngest child. Give me all.
I'm the youngest too. I'm the baby too. Yeah, but a different kind of baby. I wasn't the spoiled baby. I was the grow up and get out baby.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I can see the dynamics because I have the baby in the house left still, and there is a difference for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which one do I fall in, Doug? Tell the world.
I don't know. I'll have to meet your brother or your sister or whoever you got.
Both a brother and a sister. And they'd tell you the spoiled one. So.
Well, it's hard. Anybody under 30 to me is spoiled. Yeah. Just kidding, but not really. Kidding, oh, yeah. Not kidding. Kidding, not kidding. Yeah,
can be. They can, yeah. Most of them, living with their parents. I went to Carhartt once, and I didn't know why I was there, but they had me to this conference that I wasn't prepared for. They said, "Bring a little booklet. We'll show you around." And I went to Staples, and I got this terrible shiny covered book with some Instagram pictures I'd printed in it and ordered it online. It was awful. The pictures weren't sized to the booklet. And I brought it to this table, and we all had lunch and introduced all the people. Hi, this is I'm Carrie, hi, I'm Carrie from the marketing department. I'm Steve from the head of creative development. And it went along, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing here? It was like a formal meeting, and I look over as I'm talking. I'm nervous beyond belief. I had no sense of what was going on. Someone's taking notes. They're writing everything down that I say. They're asking me questions like it's a job interview. Like, Alec, what would you say inspires your carving? And Alec, what do you tend to wear when you're carving? Do you have any style preferences? Or I'm like a 19-year-old fashionless doofus homeschool kid who's, I like blue. Blue's a good color. Flannel. I like blue. I like flannel. It's like, and oh no. Did I forget why I brought? What were we just talking about? Give me some context.
That was public speaking.
Oh,
and anxiety about public speaking.
Right. no, I was telling something else about this. It reminded me of it, but I guess there's some element of speaking there, but that I don't think that was it. Well, that's a bummer. That's ADHD for you. That's
Well, it
bad.
would have been a good time to have, got one of those Carhartt sponsorships.
Oh, I boogered it up so bad. They
Yeah.
laughed me out. Oh, that's what it was. 30 and under not working. The lady who invited me to this thing was the head of the marketing department. And she was trying to justify why this nervous, poorly dressed, nerdy homeschool kid is sitting at this table wasting all these big wigs time. And she was like, they're looking through this crappy, shiny booklet that I printed out, missized pictures. And she's like, what? Isn't he so talented for being 19? Like, what were we doing when we were 19, right? And then one of the girls was like, yeah, I think I had my master's degree by the time I was 19. I was already pursuing creative direction, and yeah, it's pretty much set on my path. So yeah, I was doing pretty well. She took offense, and everyone else was like, oh yeah, we're awkward. But yeah, I was thinking about that, and
I don't know that 19. I'm not the example for 19 either. In fact, I wouldn't even recommend my path to anybody either.
yeah,
Like I was at 19, I built my first house.
come on.
I was married. I had one child. And yeah, I built a 1,400 square foot house, which is not that big, but for me,
That's huge.
Kid, yeah, that was my first place. And I blocked the basement and framed the whole thing. I was crazy.
Wow.
But now I'm like, just enjoy yourself. You don't grow up too quick.
Right.
But mind you, now I'm 50 and I still have kids in my house. So that's so you gotta. I have a daughter who hasn't had a kid yet, and I said, get a puppy. Go see the world. Enjoy yourself. You don't have to grow up too quick, and you don't have to go straight to the house and stuff. There is room for alternative lifestyles, like traveling and minimalism and all that stuff that goes with it. You don't have to do the traditional get married, have a kid, build a house, carry on. So
yeah, I think so. I mean, part of me, I'm divided. Like, part of me wishes I was more entrenched in my work when I was that age, and then part of me wishes I was like, I didn't date a lot. Was my biggest regret. Speaking of woodcarving,
I believe that.
Oh, you jerk! Oh.
That says the face of audio.
How rude! How rude! This lovely personality makes up for it, though. Yeah, no, man, it was it was hard to get a date when you're when you're 19. Well, I think probably by the time I was like 20 or so, I had kind of put myself out there a little bit more. I hit puberty, I think right around 21, 20. And I had to keep a stick with me. I was wearing my black socks and my sandals, and I had to beat the women off. I couldn't.
Of course it is. I can see that.
Crazy,
yeah. Home Depot. I thought you meant at the farm auction.
No, I was never. It was never a good thing. But I wished I had tried. I wished I had made a little bit more of an effort to date more, get more experience in that regard. I didn't do it. So by the time I was like, I first serious relationship I got in, I was 22. Why am I sharing? I'm oversharing right now.
Yeah, this is keep going.
Oh God!
And how did it make you feel? Yeah,
I'm wearing a pink shirt. I'm talking about my emotions. Oh man!
You didn't even have to say the color of your shirt for the audio, though.
Yeah,
you just outed yourself with the pink shirt.
I'm editing. So,
well, have you, on top of everything else, have you entertained yourself with anything you've been liking or reading, watching?
Oh. Lately I just listen to music to calm me, speaking of anxiety. So I've been listening to just like, yelling at Google to play classical music and or just instrumental stuff. That kind of chills me out a little bit. What about you?
Not a heck of a lot. I discovered a conversation which might be a good topic down the road. And I believe it was Anne of all trades who brought it up first. Do you know Annabelle Trades?
She's a friend. We recorded a podcast together that I immediately lost somehow. So it's sad, but
Really?
yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess she had brought it up, but I found a fella on Instagram. Well, I don't know his full name, Emmett. His podcast is Emmett
yeah.
Audio. Do you know this?
No, I've not seen the podcast, but isn't that her helper guy or something, or no?
I don't believe so. No.
Oh, I'm just making stuff up.
That her helper, he had a heart attack.
Really?
Not too long ago. Yeah, young fella.
Oh, right. I heard about that.
They had a fundraiser for him and everything. It was a bad heart attack.
Is he all right now? I haven't heard about it.
I haven't heard for a while, but
I guess we're really not pals. We're just more acquaintances.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so I found this podcast, Emmett Audio. He's a spoon carver on Instagram. To be fair, I should say what his Instagram name is. But it's the conversation is specializing or diversification. Like, should you specialize in one thing, or should you go broader and touch a little bit of everything? And his podcast he's a one-man show. He's basically going for a walk and just talks and shares his thoughts as he talks. So it was interesting. It's interesting conversation because it could be, it's up to you, right? I always say I'm jack of all, master of none. Right. And people who specialize, well, you specialize and you're obviously the best, right?
No,
not right, but you are. So there is advantages, but then then you build a sauna crooked.
Yeah, the sauna was way off.
Well, that's what you said. The base of it was. I was like,
we spent an entire day trying to fix it. Well, this builder friend of mine,
Emmett Van Driesch.
How do you spell it?
It's a hard one. Emmett Van Driesch.
Oh, Driesch.
Driesch. Definitely a Dutchman. But yeah, he's a spoon carver. But that's his podcast is Emmett Audio, and he's got a bunch of different topics in there. Yep, that's him. And yeah, I've enjoyed a bunch of them.
Oh, I like that little, almost looks like a pasta strainer.
It's exactly what it is, probably. Yeah.
Cool. He looks like he lives out in like Tennessee or something. Those hills. That's an interesting topic. Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to start that because I've already had too much coffee, so I don't want to.
Well, we're probably we're coming up to our hour now anyway. And
man, that went by fast.
Yeah, you've got some carving to do.
Hopefully that steak comes here. I mean, what the heck? If it doesn't, I'm screwed.
How late do they deliver?
8. They said it'd be here by 8.
So okay.
As soon as we get off, I'm just gonna wait down by the driveway for it.
That's productive. Extra productive. Waiting.
Just like a dog waiting for his owner.
Well, that will conclude then episode number 6 already. Now, we could ask again for your topics and questions, and you can send any of those suggestions to our email at
coffeeandcarving@gmail.com.
Nope.
Show. Dang it.
You did it again. That was a test and you failed. So we're going to have the listeners, this is going to be just dialed right in because they're going to see every time you say that. coffeeandcarvingshow@gmail.com. All right. Thanks for hanging out with us for this hour, and we'll catch you next week. I'm Doug.
And I'm Alan.
There you go.
Bye, guys. Thanks.